Welcome back to Milestones. This is Milestones with Caleb Calderon. Today's date is February 7th. Is that right, Katy?
Yes.
Okay, February 7th. Today we have a special guest, Katy Cranfill, out of Austin, Texas. Katy Cranfill is originally from Crawford, Texas?
Yeah.
Got you. Okay. Katy, how you doing today?
Do what?
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Yeah. How's everything been going thus far? I know that you're gearing up for a potential half marathon, correct? Coming up soon?
Yeah, I have the LA half, the Nike LA bigger race. So yeah.
Sorry there, Katy. We lost you for a quick second. What was that? What was that LA half you had?
Yeah, I have the Nike LA half in Los Angeles.
Gotcha.
April 5th. So
Awesome.
that's my, I guess, next bigger race.
So I know I did a workout with Katy, I want to say about a month ago.
Yeah.
And I was helping her pace her out through a mile and a half. Was that what it is? A mile and a half time trial.
Time trial,
Yeah. Back at the Austin High, good old Austin High track where everybody uses the hell out of that track, but we love it. It's right there next to the trail and the beautiful ATX. And but she got her work in that day. Luckily, the track was cleared, and she had a really killer day. But my crazy part that Katy probably won't tell you is that she had invited me out to a kettlebell class, which I did not attend to. Right after that, and we hit breakfast up after I showered and after she went to kettlebell class with our good old coach. We shared the same common coach. I've once had him before, and she currently is trained by him, Edward Ortiz. And we had a great time meeting each other that day. And I knew from that moment on that Katy was a perfect interviewee for something as of this nature. And I'm glad I get to finally speak with you. So,
yeah.
Katy, tell us, you went to Baylor about how many years ago?
So I graduated in 2014. I was there from 2010 to 2014.
Awesome. And you were a sprinter there, correct? You were a 400-meter, 200-meter specialist.
Yeah, I ran the quarter primarily. I did.
We lost you. Lost you after you said quarter.
I'm sorry, I lost you.
Lost me. Okay, so you're a 200 to 400-meter specialist, correct, at Baylor?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, and in the Big 12 championships, is what your second to last year there or last year there that you had ran 56.6 in the 400?
That was 2011. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then you scored, right? That was a scoring year, right, for you?
Oh, dude, you know more info than I do. I don't know.
That's I try to do my research ahead of time, you know.
That's all. Research. I don't know.
I gotta do my research. Well, if you didn't know, you scored, but you. I was gonna ask you. That was gonna be my next question. How does it feel to be a scorer on a Big 12 championship team or a Big 12 caliber team? Right, I should rather say. But
I mean, like I feel like my time competing at Baylor was very brief.
Right.
With a lot of injuries. So in whatever capacity that I could help contribute, it was a win. I know it was very, very small, but yeah, hearing that was like, oh, great, cool. I didn't know that happened. But yeah, I just dealt with a lot of injuries and stuff like that. So I wasn't like a main player or I contributed in other ways, hopefully. So yeah.
But that's the beauty of it all. I mean, you had obviously you had a hard up and down career, I guess, for at least your own, perspective on it. And from there on, you were able to kind of craft those for what it seems like from the outside. Somebody could easily say that from all those difficulties that you had, you were kind of able to craft them into something that was better for yourself. I know that when you had, spoke to me about your injuries before, you kind of told me about how you resorted to self-meditation and stuff like that, right, with yoga. And that's just what you do now, by the way. You are a certified yoga instructor in Austin, Texas. And so kind of tell me about how that transition went. I mean, was it something that you went off of from those injuries in college, or was it kind of just something that you were doing post-collegiately that you wanted to make a career out of? What was that transition for yoga itself?
Yeah, so I actually decided to not run my senior year of college, just because I felt like my relationship with running had started to shift and change, and it's something that I hold very near and dear to me, and I didn't want to leave college and run another year and end up resenting the sport. It was something that I really saw as being a part of my life until the day I die, and I didn't want that one last year to make me bitter towards it. So I decided not to run my senior year, and I actually was registered for a yoga class. That was a part of my college credit, and I hated it.
Mm.
I was still running, I was still continuing to run, and I would even do like practices with the team. I just wasn't competing or really, I guess, listed on the roster. And I hated yoga. I was like, this lady talks too much. Like, she tells me when to breathe. Like,
Right.
I know subconsciously when to breathe. Why is this woman like telling me breathe in and breathe out? So,
Yeah.
I was kind of like the class clown in that class. Ended, and after a couple of weeks, like my injuries like started to kind of hurt and feel like I could start to, some of them would resurface, and I was just like, oh, like shit, like maybe there actually is something to this yoga thing.
Right.
So I went back to my teacher and I was like, hey, like I'm really sorry, I was a cut up, but I think that this could probably help me in some of the stuff I'm dealing with, especially if I want to continue to run for the rest of my life. I saw yoga as a supplement to being able to run and cycle and do the things I love to do. So yeah, I continued to do it, and I felt like it helped my running, and not only from a physical standpoint and just injury prevention, but also from a body awareness and knowing when to breathe,
Right.
and just kind of identifying the thoughts and feelings I was having regarding certain workouts or different training sessions, and kind of realizing, okay, running isn't a linear thing. Like, you're gonna have bad practices. It doesn't mean like your whole season's a bust.
Of course.
Like, you're still moving forward. It just might not be like a straight line all the time. So yoga helped me with that. I got really into it. And I ended up joining after I graduated from college. I joined a studio, and I was there like every day. And they were like, hey, have you ever thought about teaching yoga? And I was like, yeah, I have. So that was
Right.
kind of how that ball got rolling. So
That's awesome. It's a really awesome story there. I mean, I know as like, being myself, I go, throughout so many training sessions throughout the week, obviously, pounding mileage through, as, I mean, I'm in college right now. I'm just a straight up distance runner, and so I put on a lot of mileage. And then of course, there's a lot of weight sessions that a lot of people don't necessarily can't really tell. I mean, I'm skinny, so it's not like you could tell I hit the weights often, but I do hit the weights. And so I take a lot of pounding to my body throughout time. And it's like, I know that, in not, no pun intended, but the long run of things, that my body's not gonna completely be in the order that I would like it to be in. And so it's like there's a longevity factor that you always gotta take into account. For you, it was like, obviously you're able to kind of find that within the mix of you already putting so much stress on your body. I mean, even as a sprinter, 400 especially, I mean, I've felt that pain to where it's like, you got so much lactic through your body that's going to come up throughout the week, especially at a Big 12 school. You're probably going to take that more often than what you realize, because you're just a dominant athlete at that time, and you're probably not even realizing it until your body hits those points, those wall points where, you got injured and stuff like that. And, you're able to switch over to yoga at such a younger age, mostly than what a lot of people would do something of that, that capacity. That's really cool. So with that at hand, where did that transition now come into you actually wanted to take running outside of just a sprint aspect and become an actual true distance runner, and mix it within your mix of your job of being a yoga instructor? Where do you find, first off, two-part question, where did that transition come from? And second off, where do you find the time in order to balance out the yoga side, the running side, and I know you do those kettlebells like we talked about, so all three of those. So where do you find the time, and how does your week look like throughout that?
Oh man. So what does my time look like? I mean, how did I get into distance running? like ever since I was a little kid, I knew that I wanted to run Boston. So I knew that like a marathon would be at some point something I wanted to do. Mainly not just because I don't know. I think it's just one of those challenges that's something you just want to kind of check off your bucket list. And I knew that you had to run a qualifying time in order to get it. So just on a whim, I applied to Chicago in 2016, and I got in to the lottery, and I ran it, and I kind of got hooked. I think mainly because of like the mental challenge of it. I know it's like obviously not one of my key strengths. I'm not like even just physically looking at me, I don't look like a typical distance runner. Not that there's a certain body type, but
right, you're coming all shapes and sizes.
I'm definitely built more like a sprinter.
Right.
I carry a lot more muscle. So it's just a lot more of a physical challenge for me, and it's also just a mental challenge. You just kind of got to talk yourself down sometimes. But yeah, so that was how I got into that, and I mean, I kind of just keep going back for some reason. I do think, yeah, it's just a challenge for me. And then what my day-to-day looks like, right now I teach 7 studio classes a week. And then I train, like I wake up in the morning, I train first thing. I have an 8 to 5 job. I am a web designer. By day, I get to take yoga at my lunch. So during my lunch hour, I take a 45-minute yoga class every day. And then I teach evenings after 5 o'clock and weekends. So
busy schedule.
I do 1 kettlebell class a week on Sunday mornings. And I do spin like 2 to 3 times a week as well. So, but yeah, I'm a big fitness class junkie. I get it all somehow.
So
yeah.
Obviously your life is filled with fitness. I mean, your job setting, your workout setting, of course. I mean, that's fitness. And then your structure of your week is built off of fitness. You cater your needs to fit the fitness roles that you got to fit into your schedule.
Yeah. Well, it's honestly, it's one of my passions. Like I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it. And yeah, it's something I really can't envision my life without it being in my life.
Right.
So,
Right. Something I wanted to dig kind of a little bit, maybe from a obtuse angle here, would be, you were a college athlete at a very high level. A lot of college athletes are out there right now, like myself, and we don't necessarily know what kind of things we would like to do with fitness in general. Specifically, I mean, I think we all kind of have a general, range of thoughts of like what we want to do once we finish up our eligibility and stuff like that. Like, what's your advice? I mean, obviously, you've been out of the Big 12 for a little bit now, and you've been able to kind of switch around your schedule to what it needs to do in order to fit your health needs and of course your job setting. What would be your advice in terms of trying to pick those things for the fitness side, whether it be in running particularly or outside of running in general? Like what kind of things for a college athlete at the running specific area? That's what we're here to talk about. Those athletes post-collegiately.
Yeah, I mean, I would just encourage people who still want to be involved just to try everything. I think that any athlete, especially college athlete, is going to have that competitive edge. So like, I don't know, join freaking CrossFit, join like, do a Spartan race. Like, it doesn't have to be running. Just like one workplace, one of my first jobs out of college, we had like a whole intramural team. Like, we would do different sports. Like, I think it's a great way to meet people. It's a great way to get involved in the community. Volunteer at races, and you'll meet like-minded people, and you'll do those things that you love together. And I don't know, that's what I would advise. Just try out different stuff, and
just let it loose. Just let it loose. Just let it all come to you.
And if something sticks, like it will. Like, I mean, I had a friend that like somehow got into like sand volleyball, and like that's like what he does now.
Right.
And I'm like, that's awesome. Whatever that is for you, it doesn't have to be the same sport.
Right. For sure.
But yeah, I think it helps having that competitive outlet to let out that energy. So
awesome. Now, I wanted to go back, kind of take a couple steps back. You did talk about Boston being a motivator for your transitions from sprinter to distance runner, or just general fitness to distance running added into that. Boston. What is it like? I mean, I know a lot of people want to qualify, to Boston. I would like to be at Boston at one point. I've never raced a marathon. I'll continue to reiterate that probably throughout most of the time. I hold this blog with a lot of bloggers, with a lot of interviewees that I have on this blog. But until I race a marathon, it'll be a big deal. Boston is on my bucket list, personally, just to go to and be there. There's so much history at Boston. Like, tell us what it's like, to be there. What's the culture like? Did you feel that culture? I know you completed it in 2018.
I was there.
Right? 2018?
Sorry?
No, I said I know you completed it in 2018, correct? And you qualified as well for 2019, but you were there completely throughout 2018, right?
Yeah. So I ran in 2018. I qualified in Chicago in 2016, which qualified me to run in 2018.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you have any recollection, but that was kind of like the shitstorm year.
Yes.
Where it was like the winds are crazy.
We did hear about that. Yeah.
So I mean, honestly, it was so cool. I was so blessed to be a part of the team that I was on, and to train and to get to be there and to be a part of it. It was something that I definitely see myself doing again. I thought that I would do in 2019. I actually trained for it, and then I had an MRI like a week before, and was diagnosed with a labral tear and decided not to run it. So that was tough as well. But I did get to be there in 2019 just to spectate and cheer on some friends that I was training with at the time, and it was cool to be on the other side of it. Back-to-back years like that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much history. It was if you get the opportunity to do it, at least do it once.
One time.
Yeah, it's super special. I really can't express it or put it into words. I just felt really lucky and blessed
to be there.
So
awesome.
Even though the conditions were not ideal, I mean,
right.
Still, it's just like, I can't even believe I'm here. So.
Yeah. So you got to see both sides of it, whether it be on the course and then of course on the finish area. I'm assuming to see your teammates finish through. Awesome. So as a ATX,
it just makes you watch the marathon. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Finish. By all means, finish what you're saying.
It's like watching a marathon just instills this different type of like belief and passion for the sport. Because you're just like, man, like these people are just badass. Like, the people that make the time and prioritize it and like train and do it are just, it's really inspiring. Like I can think of no other thing that's really is. I mean, it's one of those things that's up there as far as like the list of things that are inspiring. If you just like, I don't know, need a dose of motivation,
right.
Go watch a marathon. So
now, okay, that was gonna be another one of my questions I meant to ask you prior to this. So you obviously, as runners, we're so fascinated, we're so intrigued by the fastest people out there, right? Obviously, everybody, we want to see everybody get these standards. We want to see everybody, run as fast as what they can, run their own standards, whatever the case may be. Somebody who's in really elite shape, really, really solid shape. We want to see those guys and those females do really good, right? And, we should come out there to support them and do that. But tell us what it's like from a marathon's perspective in order to see these people who are coming out there, not necessarily knowing what kind of energy or effort it takes in order to complete a marathon at that, or to complete even past 10 miles at that. And they're coming out there and doing this maybe for the first time ever without any true, training under their belt of any sort. And they're coming out there. What kind of inspiration does it look like? Or does it feel like, I'm sorry, I should rather say, when you see these people, going out there to battle and just finish out the race, at the nature that they're doing it at. I mean, obviously they're feeling something that they never felt before. I can only imagine what it would be like if I were to go out there, and basically try to do that for the first time without, actually having a feeling of what it's like to run 10 miles at all, And so what's that inspiration like? Do you gotta get that cultural feeling at Boston particularly, or any other marathon, it doesn't have to necessarily be that place, to see these people go out and try to battle out to the finish, just to finish the race and be there with their family?
Yeah. I mean, the thing that kind of, I guess, came to me when you were saying that is like, it doesn't really matter what your time, like what your place is. It's just like the heart that it takes to get out to the start line and then to actually finish the race. I mean, some of those people are out there on their feet for over 5 hours. Like, that's something that I don't even know if I could do. Like, that's insane. Like, I could not. I've never been on my feet for 5 hours, like, running and, like, trying to make it to a finish line. Like, that in itself is just, like, dude, I mean, I don't know. It's just, it's one of it's, I love the sport of running because it is so communal. I love the fact that you could have a high school girl line up against elite pro level athletes
Right.
that have been in the sport for 10 years, and I think that's something that's really unique to track and field. And honestly, like why I enjoy following the sport so much is because there's always new people coming up, and it's just like you don't really need to buy in, or like you don't need. It's just like it's so objective. Like it's like these times or these standards, and that's like what gets you in the door. And so like it doesn't matter like who your agent is, or like I mean I guess some of those things probably do matter, but like you know what I mean. Like it's
Right.
just like if you have the time, like you can line up against like the fastest. I don't know. It's just whatever. It's really cool. It's a really I don't know. It's freaking love track.
Unexplainable. Unexplainable.
It just in general.
For sure. Now, I want to keep going back here a little bit. So, you had a really good high school career. Obviously, you got into Baylor. You can't just get into Baylor off a little general fitness here and there. You know, you got to have some fitness or at least some type of skill to get there. What's the high school like? What was high school like? And as a athlete, what was high school like as a student? What was high school like in general to get in and understand that you could potentially be?
Cut on me a little bit.
I'm sorry. I said, what was high school like in order, as a student, as an athlete? What was high school like in general? Understanding that you had the potential, at least, to be a Division I athlete, to be at a Big 12 school that had maybe I don't know, had the chances at least to be a championship caliber team. What was that? What was it like around that time before you get into college?
Yeah, I mean, in high school, I was very hyper focused. I like if you asked me at like 13 years old, like, what do you want to do? My goal was to get a scholarship and to run like that. So I was very hyper focused on my grades and running. Like that was all. I wasn't a lot of fun. I didn't party. I didn't drink. I didn't have, I guess, what some people would classify as a typical high school experience because I prioritized school, academics, and running, and that was, one and two. So, yeah, I mean, I lived, I breathed track. I was always running. Like, that was kind of like a joke. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll get that.
I mean, I didn't care because I loved it. Like,
right.
I enjoyed it, and it was something that I was passionate about, and I had I had good coaches, and I had a good rapport with them, and of course, your coaches make it all easier, and they make it worth it too. So
right.
I was super blessed in that regard as well. So
awesome. Now you were an honor roll student at Baylor, and was that something I had to do my research? I gotta.
I'm learning so much.
I gotta have. You didn't even know you're an honor roll student, probably. You probably. I had to have my research, Katy. You're an honor roll student at Baylor. Was that something that was instilled from you from, you talked about, that setting that you had filtered already for yourself at high school? Was it something that was pressurized maybe from family? Was it something that was pressurized just from yourself? To balance, that filter of school and track needs to be priorities that are basically the same, that have the same nature of importance, because if you didn't have, obviously to run that fast, you have to have that importance, both of those equal out. To have that same focus to be as fast as what you were. What was that? Was that instilled in you on the honor roll side as well? Like being a student, to be that diligent in your studies.
Yeah, I know that. I guess I'm being a type A person. My parent being a firstborn, I don't know. I think there's a bunch of stereotypes there. But my parents have always just really encouraged both my brother and I to be to do our best at the end of the day.
Right.
And so that was something. It's kind of a moral compass. So whatever capacity that was, whether it was academics or athletics, like it was, Katie, like do your best, and as long as you did your best, like that's good enough. And so I think for me, I just wanted to strive to be the best that I could be, in whatever capacity. And I'm super grateful and fortunate and blessed to have parents that support and encourage both my brother and I in whatever capacity that is. So, if it was, I don't know, juggling, like name whatever it is, like mom and dad would be on, like whatever it was. My parents still come out to races, which still blows my mind because, I'm like, let parents do that. Like, it's just they're our biggest fans, and I'm super grateful to have that support system. So
Are they? I'm assuming they're obviously part of the reason as to why you run today, right?
um, I do think it's. I mean, I think running is there is some things about running that's very selfish. It's a very selfish sport.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I love the fact that they are as eager to be a part of it as passionate as I am about it. So
Right.
yeah.
Now it's important you say that. I mean, like you said, I mean, running is a selfish sport. You know, we're in here, for personal gain. There's health, personal gain. There's, accolades. There's records. There's a lot of stuff in there, right? But at the same time, it's like, I know me, I don't necessarily know if I would be, where I'm at, in this sport right now, if it wasn't for the push of some of my parents, you know what I mean? Or if it wasn't for maybe some of my family members being in a certain type of stage that they're in, because it would be like, oh, like screw it, like fuck it, like I don't, like why do I need to do this anymore? Like, do I just want to just do this for myself? Like, what's cool about that? I think the cool part for me, like the cool aspect, is just like to see like I can put the pressure of my family on my shoulders in a way, and literally run with it, and kind of take whatever's going on at that time and put it on my back to make it something good instead, out of nothing in a specific time. So I think that's important. I think that obviously, that the importance of your family's around there still at some aspect,
Yeah, 100%.
Katie, I really liked our conversation. I think we had a great time. Before I let you go, I want to finish out with a game that I play on this podcast. It's called a half out and back. So it's like you're going half mile out. You're going to throw the other half mile back because you don't need to make it back to the car. So, all right, here we go. I got a couple of questions for you. You're just going to say one half of it, or you're going to not. Just tell me which one you like the best, okay? All right. First one. Painting or drawing? Painting.
Oh, I don't know.
I knew this would be hard for you because you're a graphic designer.
I don't know. I'm gonna take it back and say drawing.
Drawing?
Right now it's drawing. I really like doodling.
Okay. So do you draw or paint for graphic design? Like beforehand, like before you?
All the stuff I do now is digital.
Okay. So you don't.
Yeah, I wanted to study painting, but yeah.
Gotcha.
Right now I doodle because of time.
Well, you can always add it into your time. You had spin kettlebells and running together. Why not do that too? All right. Number 2. All right, let's go. Mac and cheese or ramen? Is ramen? Ramen? That's not a bad answer. Number 3.
Yeah.
Nike 4% or Nike flats? 4%. I knew you would say that because you had those on that one day that we hit that workout in, and I was like, yep, she's gonna tear it up right now. All right, ready? Disney World or Disneyland? I don't know if you've been to either one.
I have actually. And Space Mountain's at both, so it doesn't really matter.
Space. It's the same. I'll take it both. All right. Lunges or squats? It's a kettlebell question.
Let's go lunges.
Lunges. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. This is going to test your classiness. All right. Beer and wings or wine and cheese?
Wait, say it again. I missed the first part.
Beer and wings or wine and cheese?
Oh, beer and wings.
Beer and wings. There we go. Awesome. Thank you for playing, Katie. I really appreciate it. And you really inspired me tonight. I know that a lot of people will be really intrigued to hear about your story and hear about, how you're able to balance out a lot of your, due diligence between all 3 of your jobs right now. I mean, essentially all 3 of your fitness goals or aspects that fit into your general lifestyle. It was really nice to speak to you considering you're an Austinite now. And we share that commonality where we can always get our summer mileage, our winter mileage, our fall mileage every part of the year at the beautiful ATX Trail. But anyways, thanks, Katie, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye.